Many people have been coming out speaking up about dirty Hollywood and against the Epstein files, and now someone that you all probably know and love, Dolly Parton, has done the same. We're going to hear her talking to normal people about her feelings regarding people in dirty Hollywood and people that are engaging in Epstein file crimes. She's been someone who's stayed out of politics for years, being an entertainer and having family and friends on both sides. But today, she's taking a stance and letting everyone know how she feels.
This is about humanity. Kids and sold out their country don't deserve polite debates. They deserve justice, real justice. And Dolly isn't whispering about it. She's calling it straight. Abusing children and betraying America is treason. And treason has a price. For years, interviewers have tried to pin Dolly Parton down on her politics, pushing her to criticize Donald Trump or pick a side. But she's never taken the bait.
On politics, just briefly, I know Hillary Clinton used 9 to 5 in her 2008 run. I know your pal Kenny Rogers said you were like the Donald Trump of music. Whatever that really meant, I don't know. But where do you stand on this election?
Right now, I just don't know. It's just the greatest show on television right now.
You're watching CNN.
I do. Well, you can't not watch it, even if it's Fox Television or CNN or any, whatever you're watching. But it's just crazy. Right now, I'm just not sure. It's just the biggest reality show out there. So I don't know where we're going to land, but I think they're both nuts.
I think that's actually funny there that she said, I'm watching CNN, I'm watching Fox. She wouldn't even take a side on the Republican-Democrat station that she was watching. But she did just say that they're both nuts. That was interesting and funny. But it's clear that at this stage, she wasn't taking any sides.
Everybody knows I don't do politics, she said during an interview cited by The Hill. My mother was a Democrat and my dad was a Republican. So, I'm a hypocrite, she joked.
I'm an entertainer. I think of myself as an entertainer. Not that they're not, but I mean, I've got fans on both sides. I've got Democrat fans, I've got Republican fans, I've got all kinds of fans. And so it's not, to me, it's more important that somebody entertain the masses out. You'll find me and my opinions, in a lot of the songs, but most of it's based on love and acceptance and lifting people up. I ask God every day to let me be a blessing to mankind and to uphold him and to glorify him, and that's how I go about my day.
While Dolly Parton refuses to dive into the usual partisan squabbles, it turns out she has some very strong opinions about the politicians' powerful figures named in the Epstein files. According to the 11-time Grammy winner, any politician exposed as a people in those files should be named publicly and shamed without mercy. But she doesn't stop there. Speaking to a fan outside Dollywood in the great foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, Dolly let rip in a way that she rarely does.
Well, honey, if those Epstein files show politicians and big shots and innocent children, then I say they ought to be castrated like the dirty dogs they are. And then hung high for treason. No mercy for monsters who sell out their own country and hurt our babies.
It's nice to see that she's actually sticking up for the children. I feel like that's something that we're not seeing a lot of people do. Worry about the children that are being hurt, we'll say, for a lack of better words. It's nice to see where she stands on that.
According to Dolly, abusing children is horrific enough. But when you compound it by selling out your own country because you've been compromised and blackmailed, that crosses into treason. And for treason, the Constitution provides a very clear and appropriate punishment. We might be talking about a huge number of politicians. A good friend of TPV, the late Robert David Steele, told us something chilling. He said that almost every major politician in Washington is compromised, blackmailed, bought, or both.
Do you guys believe that? Do you think that all politicians or almost all politicians are bought or controlled in some way? Genuinely curious about your thoughts there. Let me know in the comments.
But he didn't stop there. He explained the clear signal we should watch for. The unmistakable sign that proves it's true.
Okay.
Listen carefully, because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Jeffrey Epstein has every major U.S. politician on video doing something terrible, probably to a child, okay, or to multiple people. The bottom line here is the United States government has become so corrupt that the time has come, I think, to clean the crap out of the stables and start over. What has happened over the years is the federal government has become an oppressive imperialist power in debt to the banks. We should not be borrowing money. The Constitution provides for printing money, not borrowing money. We've now reached the end of our descent into hell. For 1/3 of what we all spend on military wars, not the military, but military wars, for 1/3 of that, we could raise the 5 billion poor. The whole point of grand strategy is to not only prevent wars, but to stop refugees from coming here. Those refugees are coming here because we bombed their country into nothing. If you continue to bomb the rest of the world, they are going to come to your neighborhood because it's the only one not being bombed. All right, so we are creating these refugees.
Robert David still told us exactly how we would know when Congress had been fully conquered, when it had been completely compromised. He said the telltale sign would be this. You would suddenly see both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, coming together in shocking unity. Not on issues that actually serve the American people, but on the most disturbing, indefensible things imaginable. How about the entire United States Congress, both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans together, rising to their feet 58 times in standing ovations for Benjamin Netanyahu? They did that 58 times in just 1 hour. That, my friends, is exactly the kind of shocking bipartisan unity Robert David still wonders about.
Now, we also see up in government people trying to separate the two, blame the two for, or I should say, blame the opposite for whatever things are being accused.
In unity Robert David still wonders about. This wasn't respect for an ally. This was admiration for leadership. This was the unmistakable behavior of people who are owned, compromised, blackmailed, or bought. That is why they're so subservient to Netanyahu. That is why criticism of him is treated like heresy in Washington. That's why America First took a back seat to Israel First. And it's not just America. British politics now functions as a uniparty system as well, as English football icon Matt Letizia explains. Politicians are only permitted into positions of power if they've been compromised in some way.
There was a Conservative government and now there's a Labour government. I wonder if anyone could tell me if they've noticed any difference between the two parties. It has become a uni-party. They're both taking you to the same destination. They might just take a different route to get there. You only get into a position of power if the powers that be have got something on you.
Yeah. So he's basically saying you become a politician if you're under control of someone else, if you're being blackmailed, which means you've probably done something wrong. What they're basically saying here is that all people in politics are dirty.
Just when it seemed like all was lost, and the elite was successfully covering up the crimes found in the Epstein files, there's hope. Due to the public outrage, Vice President Vance has said that he's personally following up on the suspicious emails from the files that uses the exact kind of coded language long associated with elite child exploitation networks. Remember, back in 2016, I exposed the code words in John Podesta's emails. I was kicked off social media, demonetized, and the mainstream media tried to destroy my business. Now everybody, including the Vice President of the United States, is starting to realize that Pizzagate is just the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President, and coming to UGA and allowing us to express our freedom of speech. So thank you so much. The First Lady said Epstein was not acting alone and had to be held accountable. She said and called for a congressional hearing, but President Trump multiple times called the files a hoax. The acting attorney general said Epstein shouldn't be a part of anything at the DOJ. If there are compromised government officials in those files, how can the public trust that this administration will hold anyone accountable when its own Justice Department is actively blocking the investigation? Given that, can you clearly articulate your stance on whether federal entities should have a formal investigation?
That's an incredible question here from a student, well laid out, and the thought going on in his face right there. Really curious on how he's going to answer this one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm probably more obsessed with this than most officials, okay? Probably more obsessed with this than most people even in this room, is when you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, you know, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, you know, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, like, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in like an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you know, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should. We absolutely should. When you see evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not, in fact, you should probably investigate it more if you're a powerful person, right? I don't want powerful people, you know, being involved in this disgusting behavior.
The question is, because that was the right answer, that it should be investigated. First of all, that student did not remind him of Pizzagate. That was a massive thing, and it's not something that you just forget. But his answer being appropriate, does that mean it's actually going to happen? Because I'm sure many politicians along the way have had the proper answers.
Words like that carry weight. And if they're going to mean anything, they have to be backed by action. So, this doesn't end here. Vance must be held to that promise. And the news gets even more interesting. Representative Lauren Boebert says she's in the process of making the details of the Anthony Weiner laptop public. Remember, this is the original laptop from hell. The contents were so disturbing that many FBI agents who viewed it are no longer alive.
Wow.
This is where the notorious Frazzle Drip file, featuring Hillary Clinton and Weiner's then wife Huma Abedin, was found in a folder named Life Insurance.
I actually was working on getting the Anthony Weiner laptop because I want to see the files that are on this. And while we still had Attorney General Pam Bondi, she had sent me over to the FBI, and there is no active search warrant on that computer. And so they are saying that I am unable to view it without a new search warrant. And there has to be new information. I think these Epstein files give us new information to look into the the Anthony Weiner laptop.
Yeah.
I absolutely want to know what was on there, what was the secret folder that was titled Life Insurance, that had frazzle.rip, where people get the Frazzle Drip story from. I want to see this video. You know, if it's totally fake, if it's not there, I'll come out and say it. I want to see what people are talking about. These things don't just originate out of nowhere. So if it means issuing a subpoena from the Oversight Committee to get my hands on this laptop, then that's what I will do. If there's anything linking the Anthony Weiner laptop to the Epstein files, I will use that to get another search warrant. But I'm getting my hands on this laptop and looking to see what was in it. You know, I mean, it's been said that FBI agents who went in and viewed this laptop, many of them are not alive anymore. And so, I mean, what is it with this laptop? Apparently, you know, it's been said that, that many have committed suicide, that it was so disturbing.
I don't know if someone would have done that because of what they saw on the laptop, but maybe they were privy to some information that they should not have been privy to, and other things were done for them to be no longer with us. So Dolly Parton exposed everything and said that she's not okay with the crimes that are going on within the Epstein files, within Dirty Hollywood, and Vance says that he's going to conduct an investigation into everything that is now out in media that, of course, none of us have forgotten. My question is, will that investigation actually happen? I want to thank so many of you for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you. And if you do want to become a member, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can do that, because YouTube does not support many of these videos. If you want to dive deeper into the Epstein files, this video right here is one that you're going to have to see. About 15 new people exposed. I'll see you over there.